Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 449. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez, live from Seattle.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Carlos Romero.
Yo. Yo, by the way, Manny is like still daytime. I think everyone else is in nighttime.
Yeah, pretty much. He's in the West Coast. Not the best coast, though, you know?
Isn't it like 6 a.m. over there for Brian?
No, it's still dark.
It's earlier.
Yeah, it's still dark. Yeah. Brett Murdoch.
What's up, people?
And, of course, Brian Manjoma.
What's up?
All right, we are back. I think like we're at the point, at least in America, where like the sun goes down before 8 p.m. because for a while it was going down after 8 p.m. So, Manny, we may see some interesting stuff in your background in about an hour, you know?
I mean, the last time I was up here, you guys saw some stuff too, but this is a much more interesting view, I would say. Though you won't see a space needle.
Yeah.
Yo, man,
that's on the other side. That's on the other side. No, Mob Hits, the West Coast is not the best coast, man. East Coast for life, son. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
So we about to experience,
right? Like, you know.
We about to experience the throwdown day-night cycle.
Yeah, we will, yeah. We're the ray tracing at, you know?
The illumination is getting everywhere.
We got all that ray tracing.
Yeah. No Adam action. You know, I think he's still dealing with the fallout of, his mom's business, unfortunately, burning down.
There's a lot. I mean, I still haven't talked to him like fully, but he did get your shirt.
Yes, he did. He's very happy about that.
But yeah, this I need to talk to them and see what's going on. Everybody's a little quiet now, and
yeah, understandably
I have some things happening on my my dad going on right now too, but it's a lot of things. What do they say? When it rains, it pours.
Yeah,
but, hopefully everything will be okay.
Yeah. But a little bit like lighter news. Chris isn't here because he's with the in-laws, so he's having fun down there. Family. Also, I was going to save this for the end of the show. I'll say it again at the end of the show, but I want to say it now because I want to get Carlos hyped up, So I just realized something, right? So this week, right, it's going to be 450 of both episodes, right? So on Sunday, which is the Throwdown Your Questions AMA special, right? The following Monday, I have off, right? Which means let's get them 3 questions in, man. Let's go hard, It's gonna be crazy. So yeah, I forgot what holiday it is. Yeah, you gotta do it like that exact cadence and shit.
Let me try.
Try it. Almost. You had like 2 extra. Yeah. You'll get it. Anyway, man. Without further ado, let's get into this week's questions. Jay Shep leads us off here. Sony recently filed a patent that could allow large groups of gamers to experience co-op in a theater-sized setting. Just show up with your controller. This seems pretty interesting. What type of events could Sony use this for? Fighting game tournaments, probably.
Possibly fighting game tournaments.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest, like, they can let it go in a theater location, but at the same time, it's like fighting game people want to be connected. They don't want to be connected wireless.
Yeah, so
they want to be connected with the wire.
So I'm guessing it would have to be like a split screen co-op type of game. But we don't really have many of those,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. You're right. Fighting game guy, but it's a PlayStation thing, not a Xbox thing.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the fighting game, they do own that fighting game tournament. So
Evo, yeah,
they do have Evo, but at the same time, it's like maybe there's some other things that they can sort of parlay that into.
Well,
I don't know.
The thing is,
I don't know. I don't know if their theaters, like, what if their theaters have I don't know if Sony still has a theater chain anymore. I remember they were Lowe's, right, for a while.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They didn't. I think it was Lowe's that they had the rights to, but I don't know if they have that anymore.
I was just thinking, like, they could still do fighting game things because it'll be probably more casual people attending these. They're not going to be caring as much about lag as like the hardcore professional guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, split screen would be good, but there's like no split screen games anymore. There are, but I can't even name one.
Yeah.
First person shooters, maybe that could work if they have split screen co-op. I don't know. I'm not sure. My question is to the panel and the guys in the chat here: would you be interested in participating in something like this? I know I wouldn't.
Not really.
Nope.
Not really.
No.
I'd much rather if I'm gonna be anywhere, I want to be in the room with people I know and not on some giant screen thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're still going to be with physical people in a space, but I don't know. I still wouldn't. I don't know.
I don't know. It just seems like a silly novelty to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, Sony's always trying to
toe dip. Carlos, man, fucking 20 minutes.
Pee-wee?
Yeah.
It's either they got to have something or toe dip.
Yeah, toe dip.
Toe dip or Brett. Is it just me?
Yeah, is it just me? Gotta have something.
Gotta have some.
Mighty Nurse.
By the way, to answer Tony's original question, Labor Day. That's what
Labor Day. Okay, yeah. It's funny.
Labor
Day is always dangerous. Like, yo, man, how you gonna have a day off on Labor Day? You should be laboring, motherfucker.
That's the irony.
Yeah,
it's for the labor.
Yeah. All right, man. Moving on. Next question here. Hi-Fi Rush, Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Armored Core 6, Baldur's Gate 3, and presumably Spider-Man 2 and Starfield. With so many games receiving very high scores recently, is this a result of a lack of great games this generation, or can all these high scores be justified? Obviously, assuming both Spider-Man and Starfield receive high scores. I think it's justified in these cases. These are just good games,
Yeah. I mean, with the exception of Spider-Man and Starfield.
Yeah, let's put them out of the equation. But the names the games that you named that are out and have gotten really high scores, I think, is because he's asking like, is it just because we've had such a drought of games that we're just like no, I think these are just genuinely good games.
I think they're genuinely good games. I think we're finally coming out of the darkness, the darkest times, and we got some legitimately good games. But a
lot of the games that have been delayed probably have slotted into this time frame. I know Starfield definitely did.
Yeah.
All these games, I feel like a lot of them are pretty well justified. And by the way, I've been playing Armored Core 6.
Oh shit.
It's really good, man. I really like that game. So shout out to From Software. They pulled it off again. And if you guys are interested, make sure to play it.
Hey Brett, have you made your own flag for your Armored Core? People are doing some crazy stuff for those style.
I haven't bought Armored Core yet.
Gasp. But you know what? We'll put a pin on that because we do have an Armored Core specific question, so we'll come back to that one. But yeah, I think these games are just good, so they deserve the high scores.
They good.
All right, next up. What's up, Brett?
I was gonna say, like, I've played a lot of these games, and like, it's not. Yeah, it's at least personally, it's like no, games are genuinely that staggeringly good, and it's like I know you want to be like, well, maybe it's because there's not that many games to play right now. No, there's more than enough games to play right now. There are more games than I can play right now, so it's not like I'm just laying around being like, man, I wish there were great games to play.
Or maybe
the opposite problem.
Maybe the inclination of what the question is that we haven't gotten that many games in the past couple of years.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, but I think he's saying like is it just because we're so starved for good games? And I'm like, but we're not starved for good games. It's not in a vacuum. It's and I guess you could say compared to the last couple of years, but that doesn't really make any sense to me when you're like, man, is it just that we've been playing, we haven't had enough good games, even though we've been playing good games for like 6 months?
Yeah, but I think he's talking about the whole generation, As a whole.
Like, okay, so explain to me how, because things are lacking as a generation, even though I'm eating good right now, why would that change my perception? Why would a game that's not necessarily great feel great just because there hasn't been a lot this generation, even though there's stuff right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for you that wouldn't apply though, because you said you're eating good. But for people who have been starving, like me, it's a different situation.
But you're eating good right now too.
I'm not. The last game I played was Final Fantasy 16. I'm not playing anything right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So everyone's different. But I think from his perspective is, we've had like 3 years of nothing, and now we finally have a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I still think these games are just good. I don't think it's just because people are thirsty. I think the games are just good, And I think like we said, it takes a while to make good games. They don't just drop. You can't just drop them like nothing, All right, good stuff. Moving on, next question. Ace Ali is sponsoring one of Jay Shep's questions here. Based on the amount of great games this year, do you anticipate a letdown of great games next year? That's a good question. I think more good games are going to keep coming, man. Like, I think we're finally past that hump,
Well, we'll see, because we said that, 20.
Yeah, we did say that every year, Yeah, so. We said it every year but this year, like, actually came true,
It's been getting a little better every year, hasn't it?
Has it? I don't know.
In my opinion, it hasn't. This year, like, it seemed like dry, boom, games,
Yeah.
But it depends on what you're looking for. Like me, I'm specifically looking for AAA, so it's been like bone fucking dry until now, Yeah. But if you like indie games, you've been eating good this entire generation,
Like for example, last year, God of War, Ragnarok, Elden Ring were great games and highlighted the year. But like in between, there was few and far in between. But this year, it's crazy. I haven't had a chance to get to Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I've only played like 10 or 12 hours from that, and I've been playing everything else. Final Fantasy 16, Street Fighter, Armored Core. It's Starfield's coming up in what, a week and a half. So this is a feeling that is not that common. I have, like I mentioned earlier, I haven't felt this since 2017. Yeah, 2017 was the last year where it's like,
I would say for me, 2018 was the last year where I felt that. Where's a lot like 2017, 2018 were like the golden years of that generation, and then it just dropped off a cliff after that. So it's been a while, man. It's been like a long time. But yeah, I think we're still going to get good stuff next year, Maybe not as good as this year, but, some good stuff's coming, I think a lot of those Xbox games are finally fucking dropping, Harry Potter, listen, I'm reading questions, guys. What if there's not mentioned, I'm not going to mention it either,
I forgot about Harry Potter.
Because we don't fuck with that. But yeah, Harry Potter's a big game this year, GTA 6 will be a big drop if it comes next year. We don't know that. We'll see. All right, moving on. Kiss Shack in the house. Now, this one's a little bit of a long question, people. Actually, it's a long question and a long, kind of note. I'll read it all. Do you guys think? Do you guys think the TV audience's reaction to The Last of Us's next season would be as overreactive / toxic as the gaming crowd? I don't think it would be because unlike capital G gamers, the TV audience would have a more nuanced reaction considering they watch similar shows that have these sequences more frequently. I just think people who call themselves quote unquote gamers are incapable of rational discussions without resorting to insults. They can't even look you in the eye while talking and avoid nuanced conversations because talking about feelings is looked upon as weak and feminine. Damn, son.
What kind of gamers are y'all hanging out with?
Twitter, motherfucking gamers. That's
fucking Twitter's your problem. It's Twitter.
And here's the last part. Also, nuclear radioactive take. Oh shit! This one is nuclear as fuck too. He goes, I think a particular reason why so many people dislike The Last of Us Part 2 is that many guys identify Joel as their father figure because their real life father wasn't there for them, and now they have daddy issues. And when a strong woman took Joel out, it broke them as their white knight died to a woman. Joel had it coming, and it was only time for him to pay the Reaper. Fuck. Damn, son.
I would say tell me how you really feel, but you just did.
You told us like vehemently how you feel, bro. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
I'm
Brett.
tempted to meet him on the field of battle on that one.
Yeah, shit. Let's answer the question. No, I don't think the TV audiences will react. Because they've seen this type of stuff. They've seen this type of stuff all the time. You know?
Yeah.
Bro, really? Like, am I the only one seeing the backlash to like some of the Star Wars shit, the fucking Snow White movie? Like half of the shit that comes through, like, dude, like the entire TV audience, like viewing community, like they fucking lose their shit at the drop of a hat.
Compared to gamers, though.
Yes.
I disagree with that vehemently, man.
Yeah, I disagree with that, Brett, because what you're talking about...
Like that's because you're plugged into gaming Twitter and not because you're plugged into a lot of the drama surrounding...
Oh, no, all that stuff you mentioned...
TV media.
No, Brett, all that stuff you mentioned, TV and movie media, that's the kind of shit I watch on YouTube. I'm tuned into that as well, you know?
Okay, so, like, but you're not seeing, like... that's
I know where you're coming from, but again, like, regular movie people and stuff, they're used to that shit compared to gamers, you know? So, like, and don't get me wrong, listen, I know about all that culture war stuff. I'm very locked into that as well. That's the majority of content I watch on YouTube. I know all about that. I know all about the crazy, Little Mermaid, Cinderella. I know all about that shit. So I'm tuned into it. Gamers are still more toxic than those fucking assholes. In my opinion. Go ahead, Carlos. What are you going to say? Why you disagree with what Brett said?
I feel like a lot of it, when it comes to movies, it's just people that make a living off of discussing these types of topics, and most people know to filter those out. Like you guys mentioned, the whole Little Mermaid stuff. It's like it's usually people whose life's mission is to talk about this type of stuff. It's like, oh, I'm against this. Oh, I'm for this, and that's all they do. But with The Last of Us and gaming conversations, I feel like that was a little bit more into the sort of crux of what the game was. It was a lot more divisive in terms of the conversations, even Reddit posts, even Twitter conversations, even YouTube videos. Like it permeated through a lot of it, and yet a lot of it is those bad faith actors who are just going to do their normal talking points that they always do, and not going to listen to the other side or listen to whoever they're talking to. But with the gaming scene, I felt like it was just more permeated through there than, like, for example, whatever think tank YouTube videos were doing off of Barbie, as opposed to people just excited about watching a Barbie movie.
Yeah, the guys in the chat agree that gamers are more toxic. So yeah, Brian, what's your take?
I'm
go ahead.
Like,
go ahead, Brett. You finish off your set, and then Brian. Go ahead, Brett.
I'm just curious as to how many of those people actively engage with community. Like those of you in the chat right now that care enough about video games to say that, do you also interact with TV fandoms enough to even get the venom? Like, I know you're waist deep in the video game communities, but like you're not just ancillary passing by in the TV communities, right? Like, because in my opinion, like a lot of people will be like, they'll jump on a Diablo forum, talk shit about Diablo, and then just watch TV, but never engage with those hardcore fandoms. You know what I mean? Like, that's at least my personal experience. I know a lot of people who engage with the video game fandom, especially on shit like Twitter, but they don't really engage with the Barbie movie fandom or,
Well, a lot of those, it's, movies and TV are a lot more zeitgeist, to bring in a term that we always bring up. That's more zeitgeist and mainstream and things that more people will talk on during like the morning shows and these national TV shows. They'll talk about Barbies and Oppenheimers. They won't talk about The Last of Us until The Last of Us is actually a TV show.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't compare a casual and a hardcore audience and then be like, why do they react differently? Like, of course, the casual Today Show viewers are not going to be as toxic as the hardcore viewers, but for instance, the Wheel of Time, dude, like that was an entire clusterfuck.
Oh yeah,
especially when you talk to the people who were fandom of the Wheel of Time already. Like it in my opinion, it isn't which fandom you're talking to. It has to do with the degree of hardcore of the fandom that you're talking to. And it's a lot easier to run across casuals when you're talking about mass media consumption. But when you still get down to the hardcore crowd, they're just as neckbeardy as everybody else, in my personal experience. That's just me. That's anecdotal. But like when you get into the hardcore mouth breathers, it's kind of the same no matter what, I think.
Yeah, and Brett, I'm glad you brought that up because it is anecdotal, all of us, because I kind of, I see more of it from the gamer side, but I'm not discounting that it does happen on TV, which it fucking does, obviously. Look at the fucking Snyder people, Look at those crazy the cultists. I call them cultists. As a matter of fact, I noticed that there's a very interesting, overlap between, the behavior of Last of Us fans and Snyder people.
Well, you also can't just look at Last of Us fans. Look at bronies. Look at furries. Look at the people who are really into.
Yeah, that's some other level shit.
Is it though? I mean, it's some other level shit.
Well,
but
when
it's not
you
really
added the whole, the whole pedophile shit. It's like it's a whole other level when it comes to those people.
We're not talking about why they like their shit. Just that they really like their TV and cartoons, man. Like that's.
Yeah, Brian, what's your thoughts on this, man?
I'm thinking that it could be like a repeat of what we had with Game of Thrones season 8, where suddenly everyone just kind of turns on the characters because they kind of feel like the writing's off or something's off. So it could be like that type of sentiment. But then when I thought about that, maybe not, because again, Last of Us has only been out for one season, so it's not like people have not had Joel ingrained in the system for 7 years. So it won't, well, I say for 7 years, for 7 seasons. So maybe it won't be like that. But I still think that there'll be some people that will just not feel right about it if they really like Joel in the first season. But I am leaning more towards now the idea that it'll just pass by and people will be like, oh, wow, that was a shock.
That's what I think is going to happen too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with this one, yeah. I mean, I don't think, strictly numbers speaking, so people have had, 12 passive hours to get connected to Joel?
Well,
Brett,
that sounds
like a lot.
It's not just 12 passive hours. It's, it's how many different playthroughs over, how many years was it between Last of Us and The Last of Us 2? It's 7 years, right? So
7 years,
so people have had Joel in their, whatever headcanon for 7 years, and then that shit happens to him. So it could be kind of the same. But Brett, I will give you this though, because I'm thinking about this, right? Again, I watch a lot of culture war content, right? I already know the angle that they're going to play up, the YouTubers, right?
Yeah.
This guy was killed by this quote unquote strong woman. Watch. That's going to happen. Yeah. Brett, you're signed because I'm right.
No, I know you are.
You already know.
I don't think people will get, in this instance, I don't think people will get as upset because, they haven't
I'm talking about the YouTubers. They're going to milk this shit. Watch.
Yeah. The YouTubers milk the shit out of it. I think within the culture war thing, this isn't going to hit as hard as the video game did because I think people felt more tied to the video. If this were Game of Thrones season 8, if this were 5-7 years people had to come to an idea that this is how a TV show or movie was supposed to go, and then the last minute they got a rug pull. Different. This is different. If this were the new Star Wars and the third movie drastically. That people were mad about that too. But I don't think this is one of those instances. I think that can happen. I think that it has happened, but it's tougher to engage audiences as much about a passive thing as opposed to you are never ever going to see people as passionate as when they're arguing who's best girl in Mass Effect, right? Because that shit mattered to them a lot. It mattered to them a whole lot. They felt touched in a very special place, and it was a formative experience for them because they don't have girlfriends in real life. So it's if you hit that soft spot, I think that's when people are gonna kind of knee jerk. And I think Joel was its own special thing that you're gonna have a lot of trouble connecting TV audiences to something like that. And again, after a year,
Brett, I love how you came around to agree with me in the end.
Well, I'm agreeing with you in this instance. I was just trying to say, like, I don't think it's necessarily just that gamers are more toxic. I fervently don't believe that gamers are just more toxic. I believe that people who game can have a tendency to connect stronger on an emotional level, so their kind of reaction might be stronger. But I don't think that that's just a difference in the person. I think that that's a limitation of the media, and that video games are better at that. So small difference, but I think it's, at least in my opinion, the differentiation is important, because it's not just like gamers are toxic.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. All right, Manny, I can finally see more of your background. Looks very blue now. All right.
It doesn't actually look like that. It's just the way the camera's sort of absorbing it. But yeah, it's actually a lot darker than it shows up on the screen.
Interesting.
Manny, it looks like nighttime in any TV New York setting.
Yes. Yeah. All right, moving on here. Another one from Shaq with Denuvo. How do you pronounce that? Denuvo, right? The fucking anti-piracy shit.
Let's just pronounce it different each time. I like it better that way.
Okay, fine. With the Denuvo now coming to Switch games, do you guys think this wouldn't have happened if there weren't people on Twitter bragging about playing newly released Switch games days or weeks early on emulators? I blame the guys. I blame the guys screaming from the rooftops on Twitter for making Switch games now run worse because they don't know how to shut up and quit bragging. I'm gonna say this. I'm not fully aware of this whole situation, but I agree with everything that was just said. I agree with everything that was just said.
Oh yes.
Thing about it is like, because they can't keep their mouth shut, because they're showing all of this footage. Yes, people are amazed that they're doing this stuff, but Nintendo's going to catch you. Mm-hmm. And then now they're using the worst version of this piracy tracking software they could ever possibly use. So now your wonderful little Switch games are going to run even worse than they already do.
Yeah.
Latency.
There you go, guys. Thank you. You ruined it for everybody. There
you go.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any. Yeah, I agree with what he said. All right, moving on here. Geno Breaker 26, not a name we're too familiar with, so welcome. But I think we've answered some of this stuff before. Anyway, he has 2 questions for us tonight. I was just wondering if anyone saw Gene Park's glowing words on Twitter about Armored Core 6. If so, does it pique your interest? Specifically you, Tony? I'll check it out. I already said I already have interest in the game, so I'll check it out eventually. But I didn't see Gene Park's tweets. I don't usually go on Twitter during the weekends, and I know this game dropped like on Thursday night or Friday morning, whatever. So I haven't really been on, thankfully, especially after last weekend with that Starfield bullshit. I'm like, I think I'll stay off Twitter this weekend, No, but from the little I've seen, it seems people are genuinely stoked for this game, and that's a good thing, Anyway, Brett, now you can jump in and talk about this game.
About which game?
More Armored Core. I know you're not playing it, but you can expand on that.
Oh, I'm really excited for it. It seems super dope. I've heard that it feels very Souls-like, to which I just gotta say I fucking told y'all so. Other than that, I'm sorry, I'm still down by the river. Like I'm trying to get through Baldur's Gate. Like there's just so much here that this is a Sophie's choice for me, right? Like, hey, do you want to play Baldur's Gate 3, like from Larian, or do you want to play the next game from Software? Like, I'm having a real difficult time choosing. And then,
what's difficult about it? You play it when you're ready.
Yeah, well, because I've been waiting for all of these things. I have been waiting for years for a new Armored Core. I've been waiting for years for a new Baldur's Gate. They both fucking release right before fucking Starfield. Like, I have not had this much choice and difficulty choosing in a long time. And it's so weird to say, but like, I haven't bought that new From Software game that just came out. I never thought I'd say those words unless something were very, very wrong, but like something is just very, very right. So cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a good problem to have, right, Brett?
One I haven't had in, dude, like genuinely speaking, like, and that's why I'm just like a bit amazed by how good I've been. Like, I can't remember the last time I had this problem, and maybe this is me now. When we're talking about like, is it just that we've been starving for so long? Like maybe this idea of like overall so many games are just coming, like maybe that feeling, because it's been years since I've had multiple big titles even kind of releasing back to back in the same year, much less stepping on each other's toes like this.
Yeah.
Just this, wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking about myself too. I can't remember the last time. It's got to be over 10 years where it's like, oh shit, look at all these games dropping, you know? It's been a long time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like I thought this part of my gaming was I've lost forever. I'll be honest. Like I was like, we're never getting back there. Well, maybe we are. Maybe there's a chance that we can. The weird thing is, it's not any of like the big industry leaders or makers that are doing this. It's a bunch of the people who 10 years ago they weren't the biggest people. So it doesn't seem like it's because gaming in general is going this way. It kind of seems like, I don't know, in a way the baton's being passed, right? Like your Ubisofts just aren't doing it anymore. So now you have bigger, once smaller companies stepping in and kind of creating new games and kind of stepping up to the pedigree that Ubisoft used to be, while Ubisoft does whatever the fuck it's doing.
Oh, they're doing an Assassin's Creed this year.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, another Assassin's Creed. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like perfect example. Like I heard today that BioWare is not doing well. In fact, they're going into more.
They laid off. They laid off 50 people. Yeah.
Yeah, and not just 50 people. Like 50 people from their oldest studio, and not just 50 people from their like original oldest studio. The 50 people that made the most money in their oldest original studio. So like all of the best people that were left at BioWare, a lot of them just fucking left BioWare. And that's just not good. Like, and I didn't realize, do you know BioWare, the studio, is down to 350 people?
Yeah, they're down.
Like,
yeah.
That's like, we were talking about how Baldur's Gate only had a team of 400 people. Like, that's still not big, especially, like, that's still pretty reasonable for a AA size studio. Very, very small for a AAA size studio. So the fact that BioWare is trying to release Dragon Age off of 350 employed, like, bro, that is let's. Tony and I were talking about how, like, maybe, just maybe, smaller companies who can pivot and move faster are starting to have the advantage in the gaming space because they're not bloated and weighed down with, all this extra unnecessary budget and all this other crap. But here we have BioWare kind of in this space like, oh, cool. So, like, they've got the size of a small company, but they can move and pivot as quickly as a large company does. So basically, it's the worst of all worlds is what's left with BioWare. It's fucking crazy, man. Like, it's just insane to me that we live in this world where, like, BioWare, the BioWare is essentially just a shitty ghost of its former self circling the drain. Yep. It's weird.
Man. And like we said before, if their next games don't hit, they might be on the chopping block because EA gives no fucks,
At this point, who cares? Who is even getting the chopping block?
Yeah, yeah, right. It's just a bunch of people that weren't even there from the beginning,
Yeah, and at this point, it's like threatening to assassinate the mascot for a team's poor performance.
Yeah, right. I'll tell you this, man. The other day, when I heard about all this shit, I tweeted out, I miss the old Bioware. I got a lot of reactions to that. A lot of people going, yeah, I miss them. Because Bioware at one point was the shit. They were fucking awesome. They were unstoppable. But,
then the colors.
Yeah, then the colors happened. The main dudes who
colors.
started it, and, Anthem.
Think about it. Yeah, the colors happened, and then Andromeda happened, and then Anthem happened.
Anthem is what did it, in my opinion. Like
the color started it because the colors was because people loved BioWare before that, like unequivocally loved the company. After that, people got fucking pissed. That was the first time you ever seen that against BioWare. But yeah, Anthem was the nail in the coffin for sure. It was like the color started the death, and then Anthem just chopped the head off. Well,
the colors like they ruined the reception. Which I mean, I get. We just got done talking about how video games tend to like create a little bit more of a connection, a little bit more of a reaction with a lot of people. And on this, you had people not knowing until the end of the third video game, that the beginning of the first video game was bullshit. It was an amazing magic. Like, they kept us in the dark for a long fucking time. It just kind of reminded me of Lost, actually, and the backlash that Lost got, speaking of TV.
Yeah, man.
Like, you've been lying to us for 10 years.
but we're not going to get to it, but they changed the original ending. That was not the original ending that the plotter created. I forgot the guy's name, but he wrote this and he had the whole thing outlined basically. And then Casey Hudson, he goes, "No, we're changing the ending to this now."
Oh wow, yeah. Well, I mean, see, that's what happens when you get people with a decade of like emotional investment, and then switch it up on them in the last second. People get fucking pissed.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yo, Brett, look, you got. Oh man, I want your reaction to this one. Kishak goes, BioWare used to be like Larian Studios is now. Yo, that's fucking factual, man.
Yeah, dude, isn't that scary? Like that's scary. But like, I still have faith that I want to have faith that Larian is not going to go down that route. But like, we've seen our heroes fall before.
Yep, it'll happen. Yeah.
Well, to be fair to this whole conversation, BioWare did go through the EA. I mean, they used to be independent, and they went to the EA route.
Yeah, Larry, don't let nobody buy you, bruh. Don't let nobody buy you. Oh,
yeah. They already said that they wouldn't.
Yeah, good. Stay independent because look at BioWare. Look at BioWare. You don't want to go down that route.
What is it now? Live long enough till you become the villain?
Yeah. Yep. Or live long enough to get bought out by EA, all right.
Tony, was it Damon Lindelof?
Damon, wait, did that change the ending?
Was he the one that had the original ending? And
No. Drew, I can't pronounce lines like Karpishik or whatever. He's the guy that wrote the whole thing of Mass Effect. He left the company too, by the way.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Lost.
No. I'm talking about. Brett was talking about Lost. I'm talking about Mass Effect. Drew Karpis. I can't pronounce that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the original ending was actually supposed to involve the Mass Effect field and all that, but they're like, nah, robots.
Colors.
Like, come on, bro, what are we doing? Real quick here. Yeah, I'm gonna butcher this shit. Drew Karpyshyn. He's the series writer,
Yeah.
Yeah, he left, by the way. He left the fucking studio too.
Kishak says BioWare used to be like Larian Studios now.
Yeah, I read that like a couple minutes ago.
No, the funny, I mean, when we talked about this, was it last week? They used to also make Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, they used to make Baldur's Gate. Ain't that something? Fucking Larian is like, wait, what happened, Brett?
I said, you quit connecting these dots right now.
Yeah. Larian is like, all right, bro, I think we'll take this now. I think we know how to do this better than you, Man,
I like that. Like, just taking me like, shh, you shut your face now. Just shut up.
Just don't say nothing. All right, people. Moving on here. Another one from Geno Breaker. It's if each of you could select one game for all the gamers in the world to play to help them appreciate what an actual good game is, what would it be? What would be that particular game?
Elden Ring.
Really?
I think that every gamer could do well to learn the lessons that Elden Ring teaches. Just about perseverance, reward, payoff, exploration. Like, I think we have gotten so used to things, quote, being done a certain way. I might also throw Baldur's Gate in there just because, like, you know how it was when you and I played D&D. Like, you know how hard it is to unlearn some of the shit that you've learned in video games. And even just when, like, playing Baldur's Gate, I found myself being like, I don't know if I'm supposed to go to this area yet. Is this an area I'm not supposed to be in? And then I have to remind myself, like, what a weird concept that is that I've just kind of internalized. Like, what do you mean the place that I'm supposed to be? It's an open world game. I should be able to go just about wherever I want. What am I thinking? Like, how am I being worried that I'm not in a place that I'm supposed to be, or that the experience that I'm having isn't hand-holding up? God forbid I actually just build something. So it's like whenever you play D&D, you have to condition people to kind of get out of video game mindset and such. But like, yeah, I think I would still do Elden Ring because I just think it would do everybody to get good. And I mean that in the, like, learn to stand on your own 2 feet, learn to believe in yourself, learn the kind of gamer you can be, challenge yourself, and then feel the kind of reward that comes from overcoming that challenge. I think it's genuinely good for a person.
It's a good answer.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, better than my answer, which is I don't know. Because the thing is, gamers are so varied and stuff. What you like won't be what I like. I don't think there is a game that is like universal that everybody could like as a gamer. So I don't know. Like maybe Super Mario World, you know. But again, somebody be like, hey, fuck this shit. I don't like that, you know. So yeah, I've been thinking about this question for hours, and I still can't come up with an answer because like there is no universal game that every gamer would love. Like everybody is gonna like their own thing, you know. So it would have to be on an individual basis, you know. Like when people ask me what game should I get, I ask them, what are you into? You know, you got to ask them stuff and figure it out, you know. Because the problem is a lot of people tend to just recommend what they like. It's like no, what you like may not be what that person likes. You know, so that's my wishy-washy answer. I don't know. For Fortnite, fuck that shit. You know,
it's also hard to recommend an old game.
That's the other problem. You know,
because there's a lot of really, really, really good old games that people would not understand the context of what makes them good. If you know, especially graphics wise. They won't appreciate it. So you give someone Friday the 13th from the NES, or like this looks like shit, but it was ahead of its time. I stand by it.
Yeah, there you go, man. Die on that hill. So Carlos, I guess your answer is the same as mine, right? It's like it's difficult, you know.
It is difficult, but I do have an answer.
Oh,
I would say Super Mario Odyssey.
Odyssey, interesting.
Yeah, because it's the newest installment, so it's the best looking one out of all the 3D mainline Mario games, and it just shows how a simple platformer can be so good, and it's like the level design, the puzzles, all of it, it just works.
Yeah, it's a good answer. What about you, Manny? If you could pick a game for like that all gamers you think should play.
A game that all gamers should play. I mean, I would say would go with the Super Mario Brothers. To be honest, it's literally a lot of the things that that are points of gaming. Despite there's no real story to it, but it's taking a simple batch of actions and essentially increasing, as you've learned to use those abilities, you ramp up the difficulty, you ramp up the thing. I think it's definitely something a lot of people can still continue to learn from.
It's interesting, because again, I really want to say Super Mario World, but our boy Mike, he hates the Mario games. Like growing up, he's like, fuck that shit. I like Sonic. So that's why it's a little bit tough. But yeah, if you put a gun in my head, I'll say Super Mario World and just be done with it. That it's again, that's one of the few games I actually give a 10 out of 10 to.
I'd actually give.
Yeah, go ahead, Manny.
Personally, I wouldn't do Super Mario World because I feel like that's an evolution.
Yeah,
I would give them the original one.
I wanted to say that too because that game really eases you into it, but I don't think a lot of like gamers would like the graphics of that game. That's why I think Super Mario World's a little bit easier to swallow, you know. And conversely, let me finish. And conversely, Carlos, even though I like your pick of Super Mario Odyssey, I think those controls might be too complicated. You know, like Super Mario World's just nice and simple. Just scroll that way. You know, go ahead, Brett. Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
I mean, I just kind of want to challenge your assumption a little bit, just because I'm feeling cheeky. It sounds like you guys are advocating games that nobody could necessarily be against, but I don't hear a reason why every gamer should play them, other than they've got broad mass appeal.
Manny just explained it, though.
No, I just explained it.
Yeah, they like you know. I'll do mine. Like, okay, the game has like exceptional level design. Every single level is different from one another, right? Which is always really cool. Really nice art style and stuff. Very, it's like easy to learn, but there's like a lot of like hidden shit in there, and you got to get really, really, really good at the mechanics if you want to like beat some of the like the hidden levels. They're not as easy and stuff. So it pretty much has everything you could want in a game, with the exception of the story. That's the only part that's like.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, and I understand that, and those are all reasons why it's a great game. But like, are those reasons that it's a must-play experience?
Yeah, I would say so because again, if you really want to, like, if you want the perfect distillation of what a video game is, there you go. That's what I would give to like an Alien or something. Like, play this. That's a video game that has everything that you could want a game except for the story. Even though there is a story, it's just very simple.
It's a simple story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a bit surprised you didn't throw in any Final Fantasies.
They're too complicated.
No, they're too complicated.
And they're too complicated, and not only that, but the first generation of games, they're NES games that are don't look as good, than the ones that have like little ones are 3D turn-based games, but they look like shit because they came out in the PlayStation 1, so they're really
you could
dated.
say the Super Nintendo era, but I feel like those ones. I mean, if I were going to give any of those RPGs, I would probably give Final Fantasy IV.
That is the simpler one. But Manny, I was literally thinking of like, for this question, I was thinking about guys like your dad, Like, remember when shit got too complicated for him with like the PS1 era? He's like, okay, I think I'm all right now, So it's like that's what I think.
As there's more buttons sort of came into play, and the more moves got more complicated, it started to lose him, and he just sort of stopped playing video games because he just didn't. It's just like now it's like, okay, it's obviously you like having those controls, but at the same time it's like what. But yeah, if like for him, it would he just sort of lost it. I feel like you want to give a game that sort of has a simple enough simple enough control scheme, and a difficulty that slowly but surely ramps up.
I mean, by that definition, I'm going to change my answer to Minecraft, I guess. But like, I'm not looking at it from accessibility. I'm looking at it from.
I feel like Minecraft is a really good answer.
I think that is a good answer, Brett. To be honest,
Minecraft is a good answer.
That's a really good answer.
It's a play. I mean, it's a good example of a sandbox and a playground.
Yeah, but like, and if this were like, again, aliens want to play a video game, give them a video game that's quintessential to it. But like, I took it as, if we're talking a must-play experience, I'd be like, look, if you're only going to watch one movie, it should be this movie, because this is a movie that I feel like everybody should see, not because this is the movie that's the easiest to understand.
But I get that, but the thing is, with a movie, there's no interaction with it.
But see, with a Final Fantasy, there is nobody so bad at video games that they can't play a Final Fantasy game, a turn-based one. Come on.
It might be too complicated, though, especially the older ones.
I think
9-year-old who's never played video games can figure that shit out.
A 9-year-old from the 80s, yes, but a 9-year-old from nowadays, I don't know about that.
No, I mean, nowadays it seems like 9-year-olds these days can't even sit still for an hour.
I remember, man. What would be the perfect fucking video game? Actually, this Tetris, right? That's like the ultimate video game. When my nephew, my oldest one, was 10, he was like, I don't want to play this. You know, he couldn't hang with it. Meanwhile, when I was 10, I was like, give me Tetris all fucking day, you know? So it's also different generations, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the idea, it's like in that game, like what is it? It's just built. It's a game that's purely a game. You know, these things don't exist in reality.
Yeah.
Like these blocks that essentially.
Shit, I may change my answer to fucking Tetris now, to be honest. You know?
But hold on. Even with Tetris, you have to have hand-eye coordination. You have to have timing.
But it also it's genius in its simplicity because it also continues to ramp up as you play the game. Things get faster. They don't always give you the things that you need, so you need to react to what's there.
Yeah, I know tons of people that hate Tetris because they're not good at it.
That's is what it is.
I don't think Tetris is. I think Tetris is far from the most accessible game. I understand the premise is simple.
Yeah,
but like again, I don't think a simple premise is necessarily.
And so this is why we said it's a difficult one.
It is one, because everybody's different.
Everybody is different. Not, like I personally, I would not like, as much as I like the Metal Gear series, I wouldn't recommend that. No, I would not recommend them to somebody as a must play game because there's so many things that are involved. If I gave them original Metal Gear, my God, this game is too hard. Well, I can't do anything in this game. How come they keep seeing me? Okay, number 2, like any of the Solid games, Metal Gear Solid 1 is possibly the hardest of the 3D Metal Gear games. The minute they can't, there are some people that I know that can't even get past the original dock of that game.
Wow.
Because they find that thing so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people
the thing that's supposed to teach you how to play the game, they can't get past that. So
let me ask this. Like, I know that there are people that read at a second grade reading level. So does that mean that like Animal Farm shouldn't be on a list of books that everybody should read?
They may not appreciate the book, and they may not like it.
They may not, but it's still, in my opinion, it should still go on the list, whether or not they have the faculties to be able to break it down.
Yeah, but again, it's a different thing. Reading a book and playing a video game are two different things. Like
in some video games, in other video games, not really. I think Final Fantasy IX would like words if you feel that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that, and I think that's a great game. It's a great game, but I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend any RPG.
Like,
and I love me some motherfucking RPGs.
I would say,
here's
the thing. Like the thing is, it's like I think in general the way we're sort of looking at is this is trying to put together something that might be the most palatable to a modern audience. Not so much as greatest examples, but at least the one that could at least get in there and be like, oh, hey, somebody be like, hey, this is kind of fun looking or kind of good looking. But yeah, there's so many games that there's so many things that stand in the way of them, being something somebody would accept. See, now the thing is, that's why it's also, again, it depends on the person. If a person is, receptive, like when Riku was essentially going through a lot of the older games, he's a receptive mind, and he was essentially like going through these games essentially to try to give himself a little bit of a history lesson, right? Some games he didn't care for us that much. He didn't finish off Final Fantasy VII. He kind of, rage quit it, right?
He finished it. He got up to 8, I believe. Mm-hmm. He didn't, and he stopped there. No, he got to 9. I don't know if he got to 10 yet, which is like, yeah. Anyway, we're kind of going on so long. Brian, what would be your answer?
Journey, for the same reason that you said Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Journey is a good answer.
Yeah,
Journey's a good answer.
It's a fairly low key sort of game. It has it has a difficulty. I do like the way Journey sort of teaches you about how the world online works.
Yeah, and it has a not in your face, but it's also pretty cool story. Just not in your face. Yeah, Journey's a great answer. All right, moving on here. Alpha Chuck, a couple questions here. First one. This is interesting. This question is for me. This one's for Tony or anyone on the panel who has reviewed video games. Does being forced to complete a game in a compressed schedule affect your experience with the game in a negative way? He goes, he's talking about himself right now. As a family man with 3 kids and a job, my gaming time is pretty limited. I typically take months to beat larger games, and I can't imagine having to run through games such as Baldur's Gate 3 or Starfield in a couple of weeks. I'd rather savor the experience over time. This is why I sometimes recluse myself from reviewing shit. Like Elden Ring, I'm not reviewing that. Because I don't want to run through it. But typically that's just, here's the thing. I wouldn't say it's a negative. That's just part of the job. You just have to think about it in a thing. Because people have this connotation. It's like, oh, you enjoy this. I'm like, the enjoyment part doesn't factor into a review, really. It's like, I'm playing this and I'm analyzing whether it's doing the thing it needs to do. If it's enjoyable, that's a plus. But ironically enough, I think some of my best reviews have been for games I didn't personally care for, just because I was able to kind of take the emotion out of it and just analyze it. Like I reviewed a bunch of fucking racing games I really didn't give a fuck about, but I gave them good scores because they did what they were doing well, So yeah, it is a different mindset. Like if I'm like with Final Fantasy 16, like I had to compartmentalize. Run through the story as fast as possible, and then I could do the side stuff later on my own, Again, it is what, this is why I don't recommend game journalism to a lot of people. If you really just want to enjoy games, don't get into this business, But the thing is, I also do enjoy analyzing games. Obviously I like talking about them. I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't want to talk about it, because I think there's there's deeper shit you could glean from them. But yeah, it is a different experience, man. And just to bring it home, I remember with Red Dead Redemption 2, when that came out, right? Rockstar, this is when I was writing for geek.com, they sent us a review code literally 2 days before launch, right? And my editor, ironic enough, Jordan Miner, who wrote Video Game of the Year that I have my blurb in, he was like, I'll review it. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Then 2 days later on launch, Rockstar sends me the game, with a note, Tony, thank you for the support. Here's the game. I'm like, I got the game and I don't have to fucking review it. It's fucking great. It was great because I could just play it at my own pace. But obviously, if I'm playing it for review, it's like just get through the story as fast as possible, and then I'll go back and play it for fun. That's what I did with God of War and Spider-Man. It's like, all right, I got this game, crank it out in a weekend, right? And then I'll play for fun later. But here's something I've always talked about with my colleagues, right? It's interesting being a game reviewer because the way we play games is not the way regular people play. So it's like the question is this an honest assessment if the person reviewing the game is not playing it the way 99% of people will play it? I can't come up with an answer. None of us have. It's an interesting thing, but I like my job. It's fun to analyze games and really think deeply about them, instead of just like, even though I do like just enjoying shit, too. Don't get me wrong, but there's some games where, especially nowadays where they've gotten so big, I'm like, let me just stay away from that. I'm gonna try to review smaller shit that I know I can crank out in a day or two, Although with Final Fantasy 16, I'm like, no, I'm reviewing that shit. I pulled rank on that motherfucker, I was like, no, I am reviewing this shit, I also pulled rank with another game that's coming up. And no, it's not Spider-Man, actually. I'm actually not reviewing that, but I will be getting it, obviously. So I'm like, I could just play it for whatever. But there is another game that's coming out at the end of September. That's the only clue you'll get that I will be reviewing. I'm like, no, I want to review that shit. Even if I do have to rush through it, I need to play this shit.
Well, wake me up when September ends.
Yeah. Let me get.
By the way, shout out to Alpha Chuck for the bits. Appreciate that, man.
Thank you. Hold on, Brett, real quick. J Shep goes, does Twitter news ever affect your reviews or the review process? No, and that's the beautiful thing. I think, I don't know if I've said this on air. I must have, but J Shep, you may have heard it. I don't read other people's reviews on purpose because I don't want their shit affecting me. But the beautiful thing is, since I get games during embargo, I don't know whether people are reading or writing anyway. So I'm in this bubble, But that's also a bit of a problem too, right? Because I'm playing something hype as fuck, I can't talk about it, And then when the game actually drops and everyone's talking about it, I'm like, I missed the conversation. That sucks. So that's a little bit of a shitty thing. It's like I get to play the game, no one's playing it, but then I can't talk to anyone about the game, you know? But yeah, generally, I don't look at anything else at all. I just, here's what I played. This is my experience. I'm not reading any of the. As a matter of fact, they always give you reviewer guides and shit. Every company gives you a reviewer guide of things they want you to, include in a review. I don't read that shit. I'm like, no, you're getting my fucking review and that's it, But yeah, I like my job, man. Listen, at the end of the day, I get paid to play video games and fucking review tech and shit. That's fucking dope, Even when I got fucking embargoes up the wazoo and I only got 3 years to review some shit, I was about to name a company, man. We're not a video game company; it's a tech company that they have a fruit logo. I'm like, bro, what are you doing to me with these embargoes? Anyway, go on, Carlos.
Kishak asks, is it hard to turn off your review brain when you're playing a game you want to play?
Yeah, it can be. I remember I was playing Tales of Arise, like when it came out. I didn't no review. I'm just playing for my own. Man, I had to turn that fucking light off because I'm analyzing this shit because I just naturally do this stuff, and I want to talk to people about it. But it was difficult. I don't think I turned it off for that entire game. But it also shows you how kind of cool that game was just because of the fact I'm like, oh, look at that. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. It's cool. It is what it is. But the thing is,
being critical.
What happened, Brett?
You can't stop Tony from being critical.
No, it's again, Brett, and I think that's why I went to this job. This job didn't make me critical. I was already critical to begin with. It's just a job that perfectly fit for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Go ahead. Can I ask you, because somebody said, and I don't want to get too far off the leads, when he said, do Twitter reviews change the way that you look at games? Nope. You and I have talked, maybe not Twitter reviews, so let me reframe that question. Do Twitter posts change the way you feel about games ever?
Yeah, mostly the community shit. Like, I was kind of ambivalent towards The Last of Us 2. The shit on Twitter made me hate that game. Just the community made me hate that game,
I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, but thankfully I didn't review that game, so it didn't matter, in the end. But Brett, the community stuff does bother me with some games, like games that but it's only for games I'm ambivalent for. If I like the game, I don't give a fuck, But with that game, and also just the shit I got on my end, where every single time I posted about Ghost of Tsushima being my game of the year, inevitably you'll get The Last of Us 2. Oh, what about The Last of Us? It came out the same year. It's a better game,
God.
And then of course I started doing this for trolling purposes. You know what I'm saying? I go, Ghost of Tsushima, best game of 2020, just to see what would happen. And it would be every single time, Brett. Every single time these guys would get on my ass.
And that's why I'm going to throw it out there. Like I don't know if you disagree or I got the beat wrong or you just won't say it, but I will. Just the sheer amount of toxicity on gaming Twitter, I think, has damn near ruined gaming for you as a hobby on several occasions. From at least that's what it looks like from the outside looking in. Like it may not be specific.
I won't disagree with that. I think you're right. I think on some level it actually has. I think, I'm just being real. It has all that toxicity and shit. The community, the fans, have really upset me over the years.
It can pull the fun right out of it. I think I said it on air, but maybe I just said it to you. Like I told Tony, it's the irony there after watching Tony not be able to truly enjoy games for years because he had to be on a review schedule, and he finally gets away where he's reviewing more tech for his day job, which frees him up for the opportunity to game more for fun. But now he can't really fucking do that because Twitter is a cesspool of hot garbage. So the second he gets off the hook from reviews, the rest of the world just kind of corrupts the possible love for video games. It's actually kind of frustrating and sad as his friend watching this shit happen, because it was you had time now. Yeah, there was time.
Burgess Meredith, there was time now. You're right about because I'm at a point now. I don't review games unless I want to. Before I had to review so many fucking indie games that I didn't care for. I don't have to do that shit anymore. But it's two things, Brett. It's not just the toxic shit on Twitter, right? It's also the lack of games that I like. We're finally getting them. Like I said, that part's finally getting addressed. But the toxicity, man. You know, I was reading. Brett, do you know the Dresden Files?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I was reading one of the books today, right, or rereading it, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically there's a wizard in there, right? And Harry, you know, who's also a wizard too, he described him perfectly, like, oh, this guy's like a beat cop. He's seen so much shit in like the last 40 years that it's just corrupted him. It's like, even though he wants to see good in people, he can't. All he sees is the murk and the depths of the depravity of humans. I'm like, fuck, he just described me. You know? So basically, just real quick, basically this other wizard, he always thought Harry Dresden was a bad guy, right? And Harry's like, what the fuck does he have it out for me? Then he's like, oh, wait, he doesn't see that. He just sees that he just sees what he has seen in other people in Harry, you know? So I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. I can't help but just see negativity around the board. Thank you, Twitter. But the thing is, I was always inclined to be that way in general, just because humans are all fucked up, you know? But basically, Twitter has just reaffirmed what I thought of humanity anyway, you know? I was like, damn, you guys are really living up to what I think of you, aren't you? Oh, and you're going even lower today. Good for you, humanity, you know?
Meanwhile, I still try and hold out hope sometimes.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I don't have any fucking hope, man. That shit is gone, you know? It is what it is. All right, let's move on here to the next question. Also from Alpha Chuck. What is your take on all this? Speaking about fucking Twitter shit. What is your take on all the stupid discourse over the pre-release of Starfield? People crying over 30 frames per second lock, start screen gate, and the new thing is a leak that you cannot walk all the way around the planet without load screens. Although when you land, you have an area larger than Skyrim to explore. When was the last time a game had so much stupidity before release? It's the same shit every single time there's a big AAA game, exclusive AAA game, you get the same fucking shit every time. Remember Puddlegate? You know, remember Craig Gate? Like, this shit has been going on for years, which also leads to my disillusionment. Because when Starfield was announced, I'm like, what form will Gozer take? You know, what form will fanboys take with the controversy? The form is start screen gate. It always happens, man. And it's disappointing because you know it's going to fucking happen. You know, so if this game is getting more than others, I can't see it. To me, it's all the same level of muck and nastiness. And it's very fucking exhausting because you know it's coming. And wait for Spider-Man 2. We already had that controversy. Remember? Reused animation gate. You know, let's see what quote unquote gate comes out when the game launches. You know it's going to be some other shit, you know? So, yeah, very, very upsetting, man.
I understand some of this, but, like, I gotta ask this question, like, does anybody listen to the things that they're saying? Like,
No.
when you say, like, I can't walk all the way around a planet without a load screen, this is bullshit. Like, did you just really say those words all together in that order? Because that just feels like an odd sentence to say. I feel like maybe now you're looking for things to get upset about?
Yes. That's what it is. They find out one little thing they can use as ammo and go at it because, again, they want to destroy the other side. This is all tribalism in the end, man.
Well, it just seems so on the face, like, ridiculous. Like, being like, today I saw a man died at 106. 106, worthless. Life's not even worth living. Like, what? You're telling me that something is doing more than anything else has ever done, but also telling me that it's not enough.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, thank you, Kishak. Halo and the fruit stands, Halo and Tire Gate. Remember that? Oh, you can't blow out the tires in this game. 0 out of 10. Like, you motherfuckers are just looking.
Some of them I get. Like, some of them are like, hey, I just played a game where you can blow out the tires on cars. Or, hey, it is now an industry standard to be able to blow out the tires on cars. Like, if I play a game where if I shoot the window of a car and it doesn't, like, shatter, honestly, yeah, I am a little bit like, okay, that's kind of bullshit. Because that's a standard. That's something that we've all come to expect because it's been done several times over. Well,
I think you're going to be too busy worrying about some guy shooting you in the head than whether the tires pop. That's my opinion on that.
well, but even that, like, yeah, like let's if tires popping were standard, I think that's a realistic thing to ask for. But like it's kind of like if every game had the model damage for like vehicles that GTA did. After a while, you might start saying like, "That's weird that it's not in this game," or "It's unacceptable that like why do we still live in an age where Forza doesn't take body damage to cars, or why is it all cosmetic?" Like I feel like that's justified. Like this game did this. Why are you not doing this? Because it seems like a thing that the fact that Redfall didn't have any like glass damage, that you couldn't shoot out windows and shit like that is bullshit. That's bullshit because it literally like every video game that's had cars for like the last 5 years or more has had the ability to do this. Not having it in there is simply just kind of lazy and not up to the standard of what current gen is. But like, there is no context when talking about walking around a planet. That just how did you get to the point where you're expecting to walk around the planet? Or like with Spider-Man, right? Like we don't have video games that actively in real time use true reflection. That hasn't been a thing. It's never been a thing. If we get reflections, they're these kind of reversed light maps. They're these little tricks that they do to kind of make it seem like it, but they're not true reflections. So when people are like looking at Spider-Man saying, well, these puddles aren't true reflections. Yeah, they never fucking have been. Where the fuck do you get off expecting it to be a way that it has never been before, and then saying it's not good enough when you don't get there?
By the way, just real quick, Puddlegate was that there weren't enough puddles.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, remember, it's like, the pre-release trailer had all these puddles, but in the actual game, there's less puddles.
Yeah.
And then fucking Insomniac, they have a mod in the game where puddles are highlighted. They did that shit on purpose. Yeah, they did that after the fact. It was great, I think it was in the Miles Morales game because you could add a cartoon filter on that shit to make it look like Spider-Verse. So when you go to puddles, they're highlighted.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff, man. But yeah, fanboys on Twitter are fucking trash. They ruin it for everybody.
By the way, we just confirmed that Manny's image did not have baked-in lighting.
No.
It is indeed a true day-night cycle.
True day-night lights.
Oh, it's got dynamic weather systems and such.
Yep. There you go.
Dynamic.
I am in Seattle, so there should be some rain at some point.
Yeah, right.
Uh-oh. Fog.
Manny's going to listen to some Queens right now.
Well, no, I mean,
or Nirvana more popular.
I'd be listening to Nirvana or Soundgarden.
Well, Queensrÿche is from Seattle. That's why,
Fuck those guys.
All right.
Real quick before we move on.
I don't want. Yeah.
Like I know everybody knows this, and I know everybody thinks this, but like I just don't hear enough people saying it out loud. So I'm just going to start getting on this more and more. This is your daily service reminder that PlayStation fans just be salty and looking for reasons to complain.
But Xbox guys do the same shit. Remember, Puddlegate wasn't started by PlayStation guys.
Oh, no. I'm saying specifically for Starfield right now.
Yeah, because it's their turn.
Xbox fans have definitely waged their own campaign.
Xbox fans they'll get their turn when Spider-Man comes. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly the only reason why Xbox fans aren't talking more shit on Spider-Man right now is because they have Starfield. They're being a little smug about it.
Yeah. Well, no, when Spider-Man comes out, they'll talk. They'll talk. You
think? I mean,
they absolutely will. They absolutely watch. Because that's how fanboys are. They can't help themselves.
I feel like, and this is not in any kind of real way serious bet, but like I think they're just going to keep pulling up Starfield. Like I think it's going to be like a kid who just got his first Transformer toy. Like everything will just happen if they cycle back to like, oh yeah, I've had muffins before. It's like this morning when I was talking to my brand new Optimus Prime about how much I like blueberry muffins. Like they're just going to slip it in. It's just going to be real bad content. I don't even think if they're going to. Because you can't really talk shit a lot about Spider-Man. I think they're just going to be like, well, we got Starfield.
Yeah, but then the PlayStation guys, oh yeah, Starfield, that broken piece of shit. You can't even walk around on planets,
Yeah, and that's where I see the conversation constantly devolving back into. Like, we got Starfield, we like Starfield, or we got Spider-Man, well, we got Starfield. Well, Starfield's a piece of shit. And then arguing whether or not over Starfield's a piece of shit. Because I don't think anybody can argue, like, Spider-Man's an amazing game. It's going to be. The last one was amazing. This one's going to be amazing. I think even the haters have to admit that. So I think it's going to be more like, well, yeah, but we got this.
I forgot reused Island Gate. That's another one, for Spider-Man. Like, oh, it's in Manhattan again. It's like, yes, of course it is. It's not going to be set in fucking
Spider-Man 10. He is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You're kind of going to get the neighborhood with it.
Yeah, you're like, why didn't you set in Iowa or something? Oh, come on, guys.
Here's what I'd like to see.
I'm preparing for the stupidity, Brett. I'm preparing for it. Go on. What do you see?
I just want to see, they're not, all Spider-Man games are almost definitely going to take place in the same place from now on. Like, so I just like to see them, like, start making the areas more dense, right? Like, if you, just start adding more stuff in there.
Well, you saw in the trailer, he's fighting in Queens, so that's something, Do
they have all 5 boroughs now?
They probably will not count Staten Island. They're probably going to have a little bit of Queens and Brooklyn. That's probably it,
Yeah,
I think eventually they could get
maybe some Jersey,
Yeah,
we'll see.
Spider-Man don't go there.
Yeah, he don't go to Jersey, Yeah, he'll go to Queens, maybe Brooklyn. Yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say, Spider-Man sticks to the boroughs, but like, if we haven't done all 5, then we have room to grow. I mean, until Spider-Man covers as many boroughs as Adam, I think we're good.
Yeah, right. There you go. Shout out to Adam, man. All right, moving on here. Mob Hits, who has also been joining us tonight. Microsoft has promised to release 4 AAA games every year. This is true. Phil Spencer said that. What games do you think will be released in 2024? And do you consider Avowed a AAA game? A lot of questions in there.
First off, I think Phil shouldn't be making promises.
Yeah,
like
remember
that,
the 12. Remember the 12-month roadmap? None of those fucking games came out.
Or parity between the consoles.
Yep.
I don't think Phil can guarantee a job right now, much less any titles.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see. He even said it himself. There's only so many times you can, you can fuck up before before the big guys at the top start saying stuff, right? So yeah.
Well, he also said, "Don't believe us." So I'm kind of believing him on that note.
To be honest, unfortunately, I don't know what's coming, but I don't want to pretend to know what's coming either.
Yeah, because it'll all be guesses on our part,
Because it all be guesses.
Yeah. What Fable or Senua's Sacrifice we don't know, man.
Well, I think Senua's Sacrifice is due to come. I feel like that's a pretty good one, but like I do want to say, like, I wouldn't get too excited about Avowed. Like I know, like it's not gonna be the Skyrim experience. People like they've straight up told people we decided that Bethesda does like they tried to do the whole like deep as an ocean kind of thing, and the way that they phrase it, they're like, we decided to go for a more narrative, narrative cinematic driven experience. What that translates to anybody who knows is, yeah, we tried to do that Bethesda thing and we couldn't do it. So we made a regular video game, which was kind of what they did with their, what was the name of that base game? I already forgot the name of it that they just did.
Who, Xbox?
So, Xbox or? You talking about Obsidian?
Yeah.
Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds. There we go. Outer Worlds. Like, this is going to be fantasy Outer Worlds. Don't get too excited. The way everyone was like, oh, Outer Worlds is going to be like Fallout. And it wasn't. This is what Avowed will be to Skyrim. So, if you're looking for like a fantasy kind of quasi-open world game, like, sure, it'll be a 7, but like, I'm really nervous about people being like, oh, brother, I'm waiting for Avowed. And I'm like, ooh, prepare to be disappointed.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look as good. And the problem is a lot of people are still going off the premise of like when they first announced it, versus some of the more realistic takes that they've given recently. So just throwing it out there. don't hold your breath for Avowed, because then y'all just gonna get angry and take to the internet and burn that shit down, and I don't want to watch it happen again.
Yeah, and also don't put any faith on these 4 games dropping. You know.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't think it really is going to happen. Just don't do that unless there's unless he has some idea. So it was just,
Again, we've been here. The 12-month roadmap. Look what happened.
The 12-month roadmap, and apparently, they released. I also feel like a lot of those inherited games aren't doing them any services too.
Yeah.
Like what was that one that just crashed and burned from the
Redfall?
Yeah, Redfall. Which Redfall has officially no thing about it is that's not part, even though they are owned by them. It's not one of their games that were made under their new regime, right? It was just a game that they had in the thing, had in the works that they just really should have nixed before it even touched the ground. But I'm guessing they just said, like, we need something. But to be honest, I feel like a lot of times when you say that, well, we need something, maybe you don't just need something. They obviously knew the state of that game. No company ever knows never not knows the state of whatever they're releasing. That's a bunch of bullshit. The guys who made Cyberpunk, they knew what they were putting out there, and they were hoping that you as the player will be allured by the beauty, the perceived open world of Cyberpunk to get sucked in and give them some money. So officially, I feel like in this situation, well, I was like Redfall, was like they knew what was coming. Everybody knew it. They just didn't have enough of the sense to say, you know what, maybe we should just drop this, or put it into the oven to bake a bit more.
I think Microsoft was just worried about morale, and I get it. It's a rock and a hard place. It's a bad place to be, but I think you made the wrong choice. It was, despite it being an unpopular choice, going into a studio you just acquired and canceling the thing that they've been working on for years might have been the better take situation.
And it would have probably been either they put it into the oven a little bit more, or just drop it. Unfortunately, because it just doesn't look good when you have it's like, oh hey, yeah, we do got these games, but they're all slamming to the bottom of the cliff.
Well, remember, Manny, they said, I think it was Phil Spencer that said, like, we went in and we checked game, and we kind of came to the conclusion that no amount of additional baking was going to change the way that this game. It was a very nice way of saying there was no fixing this.
Yeah,
it was either scrap it or throw it out. But I found it hilarious. They said, like, we checked it out, and we figured that no amount of redevelopment was going to change the fundamental approach to the game. You're like, yeah, you're just saying it sucks down to its DNA, huh?
Yeah. So then, what were you hoping for then? If you're going to release something, they're just like, hey, look, we got a game. But like, especially when those exclusive have been so few and far between for them,
I think that they were just hoping to take the hit and move on, to be real honest.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I'm kind of curious as to what your guys would like. Would anybody have had a different approach? Because, like, what they did is, it's a shitty approach. I would have canceled the game. That would have been my approach.
I would have canceled.
I would have canceled it. Yep, I would have canceled that shit.
Especially if we knew the state of.
I would have canceled it in the development stage. I'm like, this shit is just, you guys are just doing everything else everybody else is doing too.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like I don't know what the deal was, how that game even got greenlit. But maybe it had a good premise. But again, like, I feel like once the new regime took over, they really should have taken stock of what they had and just said, right, okay, some of these things are going to hurt us so badly that it doesn't even matter. So let's drop these, do what we're going to do and push, and unfortunately push toward the ones that are going to look the best or at the best state they could be at. I would have taken those Redfall people and just thrown them on to help out with the Starfield, to be honest. But is what it is.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
And we're still.
yeah.
My last thing on it is that we're still hoping, for that thing. We've have how many years? How many years has it been since that reveal of all that sizzle video of all the games that were coming to Xbox? What was that, like 3-4 years?
Yeah, was it
now?
at the beginning of the generation or something? Like,
Yeah, the beginning of the generation. Like the big surprise at the Game Awards
yeah, I think you're right.
was the reveal of the Xbox Series X and
Yeah.
S. And how much of that stuff came to fruition?
Yeah.
Mm.
So
right.
I hope you're not insinuating Jeff Keighley is a liar.
Well, he's just showing whatever they give him,
Yeah, he has no control of what's on the video. He didn't say, "Hey, are these games coming out in the next few months?"
Yeah, that's not up to him. Yeah.
That's not
True.
it.
All right, next
At
question.
this point in the gaming industry, I just think don't trust anything that's more than 3 months out. Like any news they say is happening in more than 90 days, just go, sure, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Mop Hits. All right, I'm going to ask this question, but I think I'm going to pull rank and please ask the fans. Stop asking us this question. I'll explain why after I've asked it, because Bob Hits and Alpha Chuck asked us this question. What do you predict Starfield will score on Metacritic? If you guys have heard the previous shows, you know how most of us, not all of us, how most of us feel about Metacritic. I hate how people on Twitter use this as ammo, like, oh, it scored this on Metacritic. It scored this, it scored that. Metacritic is, you want to talk about toxic shit? Metacritic is fucking toxic to the gaming community. And it has been for years, because people use this shit, as ammo. And not only that, fucking studios, they use it like, to give bonuses. How fucked up is that? Oh, we wanted to score 85, but you got an 84. We're not going to give you guys bonuses. It's like you're basing bonuses off of fucking a dumbass aggregate site. What? Doesn't make any fucking sense. So yeah. Again, my answer to this is the same answer I've given to the same question before. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a shit? Oh, it's gonna score 89 on Metacritic. It's gonna score 87. It's gonna score 92. It's fucking dumb. Who gives a shit? So yeah, guys, please stop asking us this question. Please stop asking us this goddamn question.
The sad part of it is a lot of people give a shit. And
I know that's the problem. Yeah, it's stupid. Anyways, move on. I don't want to build on that anymore. Go ahead, Brett. What happened, Brett?
I care.
Oh, I know you're probably the only one that cares about Metacritic and review scores.
The only one that doesn't think scores are inherently stupid either.
Yeah, I know. You're the only one. So if you want to say something good on this, go ahead.
I think this shit is I agree halfway with both camps. Like, you got to take this with a gigantic, apple-sized grain of salt, man. Because people use this in targeted harassment campaigns and things like that, like review bombs and things. So Metacritic is not the be-all end-all. Now, if you're going to ask me, what do I think is going to be the general average score? Like, you're asking it in that spirit. Sure, I think we can ask about, how well received do we think that Starfield will be upon release? Because I think that's the heart of, if you're asking the question that way, I think that's the meat and potatoes of that. To which I will say, I don't think that specific numbers matter, but I will respond that I think it's going to get above a 90. So I think that it will be in the, category of it's an A game, as opposed to a B or a C or a D, letter grades. I would say it's probably going to get an A just based on the amount of money and time and technical know-how that's been put into it. But beyond that, I kind of start to lean back and agree with these other guys. Does it matter if it's a 90 or a 93? Does it really? No, because you're only comparing it to games. And when the margins are that close, the room for error is, it's a bit more. So it's tough to say oh, Zelda got a 98. It's the most enjoyed video game of all time. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that statement, but I would say that it's in league with other games around the same mark. I would say that one game that's above a 90 is probably regarded in the same breath as another game that's a 90. So I think it's useful in broad strokes, but beyond that, not so much. So in broad strokes perspective, I think that the game will be pretty well received amongst both fans and critics, and that it will probably get a pretty high score. Maybe high 80s, probably somewhere in the 90s range, because it's pretty predictable, I think, for the type of game that it is. They always score well. It's a big open world game, huge AAA. It's got spaceships in it. Like, it's not that hard to see how this game will be successful financially and probably user-based, right? Like, it's not that hard to receive mass appeal. I'm going to be honest. Like, maybe that's where I'm weird in here. I'm like, there's a difference between having a hardcore cult community that says, like, this game fucking changed my life, and everybody being like, oh, yeah, that game's all right. Like, the latter, much easier to get. And I think that Starfield will probably... I don't think Starfield's going to change anybody's fundamental idea of what a video game is or could be. I don't think Starfield will challenge people on their perceptions the way, say, Baldur's Gate did. But I think a lot of people will like it pretty good. And that's the mark of success in today's world.
So maybe I could meet the fans halfway, since we will get this question again. So Brett, would you be willing to just answer this question every time it comes up?
Sure, yeah.
All right, since you're the only one on the panel that cares about this shit, I think, and the fans will ask us about it, I think it'll be fair to just ask you, you know? All right, good. There you go.
I think they change over the time. Like, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate that. Take the bullet. Because I'm just going to scream every time we get, you know how I am, man. I'm just going to scream about this shit.
Don't ask the guy who fundamentally doesn't believe in review scores what do you think's the review score for a video game that hasn't released yet is. You're just not going to have a good time, guys.
Yeah. And just for the record, again, I've said this before, I am not weird when it comes to being a reviewer who hates review scores. All of my colleagues hate review scores. Every single one of us hate it, you know?
Well, yeah, that's because, and I think that's because, in fairness, a lot of people use review scores completely wrong.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's just a context. It's a foundational context to put your opinion in a certain place, right? Like, it's great to be like, oh, it's great. How's this other game? It's also great. Okay, well, that really doesn't tell us where on the spectrum. Like, it's just shorthand.
It gets so stupid sometimes. This game gets a 9.4. Oh, but this one got a 9.5. It's
and
better.
See, that's
what? You know?
And it's just like I said, you can't compare a 9.4 and a 9.5 together and be like, oh, the 9.5 is better. Like, bro, they're viewed by different people, and like, again, like, unless you have some mathematical thing, like, a lot of this is kind of subjective. It's easy to put two things together and be like, hey, out of these two movies, which has a better script? I think it's easier to be objective about that, but like, numerically rating things, like, it doesn't work like that. I think you can be like, oh, all these games got 90 to 95s, and you're going to find a lot of games of similar quality. Sure. You're going to find a lot of games with similar reception. Sure. But does a game that reviewed on like a 93, is that fundamentally better than one that reviewed with a 91 on Metacritic? No. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't fucking matter. It's just broad strokes, people. Broad strokes.
Man. All right, let's move on before I get mad. Who is
I'm
this?
mad.
Who is this? Eurocar? Who is this motherfucker, man?
Oh.
Asking these crazy questions. All right, first question here. What is a bigger insult to a tech product, the PS Portal or the Nintendo Labo? the Labo is fucking cardboard.
The Labo.
You know?
The Labo.
Yeah. I mean, they're both fucking bad, but yeah, Labo, yeah.
The Labo doesn't even have any real technology
It's just
to it.
cardboard,
It's just cardboard. They make you do it yourself.
Yeah.
I agree, but they're definitely both pretty detrimental technical pieces of equipment.
I'm gonna have to agree with that. All right, next question here. Oh, here's controversy. Brett, this one's for you, man.
I'm here for it.
What game does Brett like more and why? Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3?
Fuck, man, asking the Sophie's Choice questions tonight, huh?
Oh man, which child do you love more?
Which is your baby?
You know, I really, really like Baldur's Gate, and I think it is a high watermark in terms of game design, open game philosophy, treating your customer base with respect and everything like that. But got to give it up for. I truly, genuinely believe that there is something foundational about getting good in your first Souls game. I feel like it fundamentally affected me as a person, and that effect has followed me into just about every other video game I've ever played since Dark Souls. Getting good in Dark Souls made me good in other games, but it made me recognize patterns. It made me recognize certain ways of playing and certain ways of viewing myself, like the way that I view failure, the way that I view a death state, the way that I view a challenge, right? Like, it's fucking ruined me. Unless something draws blood, it's not a fucking challenge anymore. I'm now a fucking wandering Ronin traveling the countryside looking for somebody to best me in battle. Right? Shit changed. And that's, I can go on like a diatribe about why the concept of getting good isn't toxic, why it's something foundationally necessary for every single gamer and every single person who wants to grow. The idea of accountability and work leading to and perseverance, it's something so far beyond words, I can only call it art. So because of that, I have to say nothing's ever going to beat the Souls games, and the best of those Souls games is Elden Ring. It's a formula that's been reinvented until arguably it hit perfection. So I think if any game that you're going to play has that kind of Souls feeling, I think that Elden Ring has it. It's more forgivable. Baldur's Gate is great, man, but like I don't see people doing video essays about how they were depressed and Baldur's Gate saved their life. Where I've seen that many, many, many times, unironically, completely, brutally, genuinely, honestly, about Souls games. Like, there's something special about that shit. Something that teaches you that you have what it takes to stand on your own 2 feet and push through something that you thought was impossible to begin with. Like, that's a gift. That's a gift that we can only endeavor our greatest form of art to be able to bestow upon its audience. That sounds super high-minded, but like a book that changes you, a TV show that really fundamentally like challenges your ideas and works with you for years, like as an artist, that is the most, like, if I could affect somebody that way on that level with my art, I could die a happy man. And I'm pretty sure a lot of artists would fucking agree with that. So because of that, like, I can't give Elden Ring a higher praise. And I know not everybody's going to feel that way, and not everybody had that experience. But like, man, I had that thing, and I was kind of in a dark place the first time I played Dark Souls, and I think everybody, at least during one of the Souls games, kind of hit that point, and that idea of pushing through, not giving up, and even down to the whole idea of going hollow, going insane, turning into that monster without feelings or memories of the things that you used to love. That's depression, man. That's what happens when you give up and let it win. But until you give up and let it win, you've got that foothold. And as long as you never give up and go hollow, eventually you can succeed, you can grow, and you can be more than you were. And that thing that seems so impossible, soon you're going to be kicking that down the road like it was fucking nothing, mopping up fools left and right. The same fools that you're like, there's no way I'm going to be able to beat a Capra Demon right now. Bitch, you're going to be eating Capra Demons for breakfast. Just you wait. So I love Baldur's Gate, but nothing will ever touch that Dark Souls because of that Get Good. And that's also why I will die on the hill of Get Good is one of the greatest things to ever happen in video games. You may think it's toxic. I say it's life-changing, man.
Yeah. All right, that was well said, man. I like that. Good stuff. All right, moving on here.
With me, and you'll be. No, sorry.
Yeah. All right, who is this, man? Another sponsored question? Who is this guy, who's sponsoring Rami Death over here again? Sponsoring Mob Hits, man? What is this?
No, man. Who's hitting with this?
Who him? All right, question here. We kind of get this question every couple months, but it's fun. How much have you guys spent on software, hardware so far, 2023? He didn't specify video games. So, Bob, are you talking about video games? Because here's the thing. I don't think I've spent anything on video games this year. But when it comes to hardware, yeah, I spent a pretty penny on shit. But I'm guessing he's talking about video games specifically. Again, it's weird to ask me this shit, because I don't buy video games. I get them for review. I do have to buy hardware, but there's no gaming hardware that's coming out. Like I bought the Steam Deck last year. Actually, bought it before that, obviously, but it came out. So no, I haven't bought anything game related, but I have bought a bunch of shit for my desk setup and all this other stuff that has cost me a pretty penny. But I haven't bought any video game stuff this year. But that's because I'm a reviewer. I don't have to pay for whatever games I need to review. And like when it comes to like keyboards and mice, I get that shit for review as well. So yeah, no GPUs though, you gotta send those motherfuckers back. They're like, no, give me that 44090, give it back.
Like
what 490? They're like, you know damn well which 490.
Yeah, there's some company. I'm not gonna name any names, man. There's some companies where they literally give you the shit. And it's like the instant you get it, all right, time to send it back. I'm like, can I get some time to test it? Jesus, And then other companies like, hey, you give it back when you're ready. You cool. Anyway, go on. Has anybody here spent a lot in gaming this year?
Not really. Not really.
Brett, you have it because you're on Game Pass. $15 a month, baby.
Dude, I saved like $500 this year on Game Pass. Like I tallied it up, it was like $400 some dollars. I was like, holy fuck! Technically my Xbox is paid for itself at this point.
Yeah,
which is weird. But I just bought a $1,500 gaming laptop, so there's that.
There you go. That counts.
Brett's beat everyone because he bought gaming hardware. I think maybe for me, I haven't bought any hardware this year, but software. I think that's where I went ham. I think probably over $400. I'm trying to do the calculations.
Yo, I'm gonna look at my Amazon real quick. Like, what hardware? Yeah, I'm just gonna throw hardware because I haven't bought any games. But then again, go ahead.
So I bought Street Fighter 6, Armored Core 6, Baldur's Gate. I've bought what else? Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16. There's got to be another one. I think there's one more. So that's 5. That's 5 games times, let's say 70, $350, and then I think I paid like $30 for Game Pass subscription for like 3 months.
By the way, this Elgato mic and shit count?
Elgato.
No.
I mean, like, it's for a gaming podcast, right?
Yeah, no streaming though. Like as a gamer, not a streamer.
Okay, fair. Yo, man, you trying to say streamers ain't gamers?
No, I'm just saying, like, let's level the playing field to be equal of that with our audience.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, Manny, you haven't spent anything, have you?
Not really. I mean, I guess I got a PlayStation 5 controller for like a little bit under the price.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I found something. I bought a Hori PS5 Fighting Commander controller. I bought that. Keep going, guys.
That definitely counts.
That does count for Street Fighter 6.
Let's see. Gaming peripherals and hardware? Man, not really spent anything.
I bought a lot of fucking anime this year, man. Holy shit.
Got the anime god.
I guess I will be spending a hefty amount once I buy a PlayStation 5 to go with that Spider-Man.
Yeah, right.
That I bought.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't. I pre-ordered the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered Spider-Man and I pre-ordered Metal Gear, but I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe I'll wait.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just sit on them for like a year until they come out with a new console.
All right, so there you go. So I've spent $60. There you go. That's how much I've spent this year. Bought the controller.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I guess let's see how much are games these days? 70.
Yeah, $70.
Yeah, in some cases.
And Metal Gear was not 70. That's like a $60 game, right? Because it's old. So
yeah, because every game I played this year, I either reviewed or got a code for. So obviously, that's not going to count.
And then 60 for a controller. I bought it earlier this year. Oh, and I bought Oh no, yeah, okay. No, I didn't buy Hi-Fi Rush is a digital game, but those two other things are. Wait, no, it's only hardware, right?
That's
both.
Okay, so yeah, Metal Gear and what's that other thing?
Hi-Fi Rush.
Spider-Man.
Oh, hold up, my man,
and a controller.
My man, Brooklyn Bear in the building. What's going on, man? My unofficial cousin over there. Yeah, let's go whip. Good shit. What's going on,
How you
Joey?
been, man?
What's going on, man? Yo, it's funny because I haven't heard from you in a while, man. I know you. You know, yeah. I'm glad you're back. I'll say that. I'm glad you're back, man. We miss you, bro. You know, I love for my Dominicans, man.
And your Polancos.
And the Polancos, you know. I gotta get used to calling him. Cause he goes by Joey, right? I've been calling this motherfucker Jose for like 10 years, you know. He never corrected me, so okay. It's funny. Tony, does it work on PS? No, it doesn't. The reason I had to buy that Mighty Earth is because my fighting pad, because I buy these every fucking generation, these hoary fight pads, right? I had to buy it for PS5 because the fucking PS4 version doesn't work. I tried. I brought my PS4, nothing. Don't work, you know. So you are a Jose, you know? So there you go. Get the PS5 version. I also bought this adapter. I'm still waiting for it because I have this because PlayStation released I think Power. It was in conjunction with Power A. They released a fight pad that looks like a Sega Saturn controller, right? The shit doesn't work on PS5 at all. Only like the D-pad works and shit. But I bought an adapter for it, and this shit's been delayed for like 2 months. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know? Anyway, but yeah, with Street Fighter, gotta have the fight pads, man. I know Adam's against that shit. What do you mean? You know, gotta get the stick, you know?
Gotta get the fighting stick.
All right, man. Last question of the night, people. Tumeke. Let's go. All right. Question here. This might be controversial. All right. Do you prefer PlayStation or Xbox's take on mid-gen refresh hardware? PS4 Pro is rumored to be coming versus what Phil Spencer says that you don't need a Series whatever because the Series X is already the mid-gen refresh. Yeah, I'm going to go. PlayStation, this shit is still rumored. I prefer that, you know? How's your mid-gen refresh going to be your launch console? Doesn't make any fucking sense. It's supposed to be a refresh.
Because the mid-gen refresh is fucking stupid in a generation that took over 2 years to get off the fucking ground.
Yeah, but that happened last generation too. You know,
that's what I'm saying. I prefer the whole we don't do mid-gen refreshes when we don't fucking deliver for the first half of our console approach. So yeah, in this instance, I do appreciate Xbox. Ironically, I appreciate.
Well, they're not saying that though.
We don't have one.
They're not. Microsoft's not saying that. They said they already did the mid-gen.
They said they already did it. Yeah, that's what they said. They said already did it.
That's cheeky fucking marketing speech. Although I will say, I loathe the.
How was that cheeky?
I loathe the existence of the S in general. It should have just been. Yeah, we're not doing.
The S is trash. You know, and in general, I don't like the idea of mid-gen refreshes. Even I did buy the Pro, and my dumbass probably will buy a PS. There you go. Add that to the budget when that comes out. You know, my dumbass probably will buy it, but fundamentally, I still don't like the idea. You know, buy one console and that's it. But my dumbass will buy it anyway.
Yeah, I refuse to buy a PS Pro.
Good for you.
For what though, Brett? I mean, like, What is purpose at this point? Oh yeah, you get to play your PS5 games.
A new shiny piece of hardware, and like that's the thing is they're just like you want to talk about customers who are just starved and will buy something because they're starved. Like, bro, I feel like that's what this is. Like, we have no reason to need it. We're not done using the PS4 for Christ's fucking sake yet. Like, why the fuck do we need a PS5 Pro? We don't.
You barely need a PS5 for most of this, you know. Go ahead, Carlos.
I'm with Brian on this one. There's one thing about the necessity of having a mid-gen refresh, and then there's another thing where it's like detrimental, and it's more of the former than the latter. So it's really a benign release. It's just more of like, hey, you want to support more of get another console, pay for this. But like Manny can attest, he rocked with a OG PS4 the whole generation. Didn't affect him.
Yep.
Yeah, my I mean, to be honest, I don't see the need. Like, if I haven't gotten the already picked up the console already, I don't see the need to go and replace it. You know what I mean? Like,
in your case, you just hit the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm going to invest in the new, if I'm going to invest in a new console, and the new console that's coming out is the Pro, then I'll buy the Pro and not waste my time with the old one.
Yeah.
Now, Manny, let me ask you, how much are you willing to pay for the Pro?
Oh, well, to be honest, they're probably going to charge an extra $200 or something, or $100. What was it? No, PlayStation's 500, right?
Yes, 500,
600. Yeah, they're probably going to give it a 600 because it's Sony.
Let me look it up. I could have sworn it wasn't too much more. At least not.
No, they dropped it by $50 for at one point, but yeah.
I'm just curious because I don't know if we've asked. Maybe I just haven't been here, but like, for those of you guys who would be considering a Pro, like, would you be willing to spend $700 on a PS5 Pro?
Nope. That's where I say no. Fuck that. Nope.
Yeah, I would say I would say 600. I'm willing to pay, but
600, sure, yeah, but not 700. Fuck that.
Yeah, I feel even 600 is questionable.
Yeah,
but, I'm I don't have another PlayStation. I don't, I'm not blowing $500 just to buy another thing.
Yeah.
Because I guess again, I've already invested in it. Why do I need to invest more?
Yeah. By the way, I kind of agree with Joey, because this is what I think. PS5 Pro will be the same price, because that's what happened with the PS4 Pro. It's the same price as a regular PlayStation.
It was. Mm-hmm. And it was just the regular or the Slim that went down.
Yep. So that's probably what's going to happen again. Because remember, the Slim it became the normal PlayStation. So that's probably what's going to happen this time around. They're probably going to the PlayStation 5 Slim will be the regular PlayStation. That'll be $400, and then the PS5 Pro will be $500. They're probably going to repeat the same thing again. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And as far as the question about spending $700, I think no one's gonna spend $700 for even a brand new console.
Fuck that.
Let alone a mid-gen refresh.
Fuck that. No way.
At least in terms of a sustainable amount of people wanting to buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it depends on context. Like, if everybody in the industry decided that hardware suddenly costs more, and then you look to look on the PC side, like that shit's happening right now. Like, fucking a 4080 is like what, like $700 more?
Let me see how much.
Sure, it costs. I mean, 20 years from now, maybe 700 will become the standard. But talking about today,
700 is like the standard on the PC side now.
Yeah, but we're talking about consoles. Like if we were talking about this in 2020 when we were talking about the potential price of these new systems, and we mentioned, are these going to cost $600? I think Tony was like one of the people that were saying, like the hell no, I'm not going to buy this because. Didn't
we say like $500 was going to be a hard foot?
I did, and I was wrong about that.
So like consoles this generation are more expensive than they've ever been. Why should we not expect that to continue?
Because they haven't. No, other consoles have cost $500. And remember, that was my whole basis of it. When they released $500 consoles in the past, they all bombed.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like,
but I was wrong about that. Obviously,
I meant successful consoles. I should have put that asterisk.
Oh no, they never cost that much.
No, I mean we have had consoles that
successful consoles that cost $100.
The PS3 was $600.
That wasn't successful at launch, though.
At launch, but it ended up being successful.
Yeah, when they dropped the price.
Yeah, but it dropped the price to what, $500?
No, they eventually got to like $400. That's when it really started doing well. Like first they dropped it at $500, then had to drop it at $400. And then it really started selling.
Yeah, but I guess my point is there is a lot of precedent of consoles costing more than they are now. And if Sony thought they could have gotten away with selling a $700 console, they would have done it.
They would have, yeah. They're not going to get. Yeah, people are going to do it. Yeah.
And that's why I feel like the comparisons with the GPU market.
Yeah,
is
you can't
kind
compare.
Of no,
no, you can't. Yeah, you can't compare that shit. It's two different markets.
I mean, yes and no. They exist as an answer. Like if you're like, I'm not going to pay this for a console, you can go to PC gaming. They're two legs of the same animal, man.
No, I disagree with that. They're two different things. The 4080 is $1,200, man. That's like two PlayStations. Yeah,
well, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that they have to be intrinsically linked, but I'm saying like you. Well, no, I guess I am saying that there is an intrinsic link between them. Like, you can't help but you can't separate them completely. They have the same product. They release the same product 90% of the time.
Not the same customers. That's the difference. A console guy, as you've heard many times, console guys will not fuck with no PC gaming.
And NVIDIA released their earnings the last couple of weeks, and they mentioned how more than 50% of their customer base are cloud manufacturing companies like Microsoft and like Amazon and Google. So that's the majority of the customer base for their GPUs, and that's why they can put the prices that they do on the GPUs. They're way overpriced, but they can because there's a market for it. In consoles, you start releasing a $1,200 console.
No one's buying.
You're gonna go to the way of the Jaguar, the Stadia.
Yeah, but that only works if there's a console that's cheaper. Like we just watched it happen with $70 games. Like if both consoles came out at a $700 price point next generation, the fuck are you gonna do about it? Other than suck it up and buy one.
I don't think that's going to happen.
What are you going to do? Hold on. What are you going to do? Go buy a PC? That shit's even more expensive.
Let's do an anecdotal conversation here. Tony, Manny, myself, Brian, would you guys buy $700 PS6?
Fuck no.
If they released today?
Fuck no.
No.
So you guys gonna quit gaming then?
I would wait. To be honest, I'd wait.
Hold on. In this conversation, I'm assuming that moving to PC is either not an option or would that?
Well, that's the funny thing. I got a PC right here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like in this instance, like, would you guys pay? Which would you rather do? Pay $700 for a console, or just hang up your controllers altogether?
Why do you have to hang it up? You just keep playing what you have been playing. Remember, you're talking to the guy who played on Sega Saturn for like 7 years.
Well, okay. I mean, like not buy. Like, would you just stop buying new console games? Would you just play what you have and that be sunset?
Until the price drop, because that price will drop.
To be honest, if anything, my plan would be just to
Manny's already did it. There's your case study. Manny's right there. He hasn't bought a new console for 3 years. There you go. There's your answer.
I haven't bought a new console for 3 years, but I mean, what I've been as far as the new games that are coming out, I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen. That's why I haven't fully made a decision as to if I'm going to be playing I want to see what the space is going to look like. So if it means that I'm going to be sitting on a couple of games, for maybe a year, if there's any sort of announcement, then I'll do that.
Okay, but hold on a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
To Tony, if Manny's the case study here, Manny just admitted that he would pay $600 for a system, $100 more than any of us did.
Yeah, 600 is a lot different than 700. Remember, I said
no, I know.
Yeah,
if we're talking a legitimate improvement over the thing, if we're thinking that sort of space, wouldn't that be the thing?
Yeah,
I know I don't know. That's the way I saw it. It's like, okay, if the vanilla one is the $500 console, then the pro version would probably be maybe $100 more.
Yeah, but that's saying like $600 is a price point that under certain circumstances you would be willing to meet eventually, and that's kind of my point. Like if and I don't like it if both systems came out and they're like we're both $700, eat a dick. Eventually, I would either have the choice to A, not buy any new video games, B, pay $700, or C, go to PC gaming. Those are really my only three options.
D, wait for the price to drop.
Yeah, I could always wait for the price to drop.
Like
so,
Manny's waiting for the price to drop, whereas he's potentially looking to pay an extra $100 now. Like,
so are you saying
Brett,
are you saying waiting for the price to drop is not a viable option?
I am saying it's not as realistic as you think that it is because you'll get more, but you'll still pay that price eventually. Like that's what in this instance, is Manny getting a PlayStation 5 console for less than $500? No, technically he's getting one for more. Is he getting more for it? Absolutely. But does that mean that Manny is never hitting that? Because we're talking about a price point that's too high. We're talking about console gamers will never pay $700. Well, they will if you frame it right. If you frame it as they're getting more, and all you have to do to that is get them more than they're getting now.
The funny thing about a lot of this is that in a lot of cases you're not getting more.
Yeah, you're not.
And again, but I'm saying like they'll eventually get you is I guess kind of where I'm going. Like again, in Manny's example, is you're like I'm not paying $500 for a console. I'm paying $600 for a console. Like that's not the win that I think that you think that it is. You're still paying $600 for a console. I'm not judging you. I'm in the same boat, Manny. I would absolutely pay $600 for a console, especially if I were in your shoes.
If it's a marginal improvement, and if it is the one investment that I'm going to be making, right?
That's still that doesn't negate the fact that you've hit that price point as a console gamer. And when the argument is, are console gamers willing to hit a $600 or $700 price point or whatever?
But I would also say that I'm not a regular console gamer. You know, like.
But again, it doesn't.
I still do think the $500 thing is a lot of money, but at the same time, supposedly if this pro thing is going to be be the better thing, all right, well then I'll eat it. Even though I think
let's be real, this thing's probably just going to be $500. Let's just be real.
It probably will be. But I'm also sort of at least for now, for me, I'm just sort of waiting to see what's coming down the line. If it means, all right, if the supposed slim version is sufficient, right? I think because what I'm sort of looking for, I may end up with that. If the
I get that.
If the pro, if that even exists, is something that I think I can go at least for and I'm also in a situation where I'm in a better financial situation than I was. So I'm not clutching the wallet as much as I would have before.
Well, yeah, but I feel like we're moving the goalposts a little bit. Like the point I was making was, if you give console gamers no other choice, eventually they will rise to meet your $600 or $700 price tag. And you kind of brought up
that unfortunately is a sad precedent to set. In other words, they're saying to you that this supposed thing is this much money, even though it may not be. I mean, if there was any sort of alternative to it. But it's all arbitrary, just like gas prices.
Yeah, well, and if they corner the market, we would pay. Like, I don't think a lot of people who would be like, well, I would never pay $7 for a system. You would if that were your only option.
Or you could wait for the price to drop.
But officially, in this situation, it's not really my only option. I could buy a refurbished PS5 for cheaper. I could buy a used one. So there's a lot of options I have. I'm just waiting to see what options there are. Obviously you all know that I'm not interested in in the digital edition of the PlayStation 5, so it's something I won't touch. But if the only one, if there's if this Slim is what I'm thinking I want, then I'll go with that. Or if the Pro version is looking like something I might want, I can go there. I'm not, again, like I said, I'm not really clutching the wallet so hard that I'm not willing to make that decision. But I also feel like I believe it's worth it at this point in time to do, because of just what is being offered right now. So,
hey, buddy, I agree with you. Honestly, I'm no judgment. I'm 100% in the same boat. I think some people kind of pearl clutch when they're like, well, I would never pay X amount. Like, look, man, we all pay what the market dictates. None of us are above the market.
I think I think the thing about the big difference for me in this is that it's like, okay, motherfucker, show me that you're worth $500, $600. Then I'll buy you. That's more like the way I see it. It's more like, it's like, hey, they come out with this exorbitant price, right? And there's nothing that's that's coming out with it, at least in my opinion, that's making that thing worth what I want to pay. So, what they're asking for. So that's the way I sort of see it. So that's also my why in general I sort of wait or sit on certain console purchases, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to go out there and I'm going to spend, $500 on a console, you better goddamn be sure that there's some shit for me to play for this than a bunch of fucking vapor, that at least from the last 3 years that they've been putting out.
I agree. Unfortunately, the thing that I've learned from PC is that eventually you kind of got to crumble if they're not willing to.
And for me, on the PC level, I can justify paying more of a price to, because I'm not only using that. I'm not only using it to play a game. I'm using it for work, so I can see more. I feel like I'm getting what I think I should be getting out of it. Okay, yeah, it plays games, but I can run Photoshop and all the other things that I need to run faster. So it's a little bit of I'm not looking to run anything but games on the game console. So
I still think PCs are way overpriced right now, but
I would think so. I would say so too, but but I'm also not also looking in that direction as well. So,
well, I'm, as somebody who's just came from that point, like, man, I've not wanted to buy PC stuff or a PC or upgrade for several years because it's been upside down. It's honestly been not worth it. It's been way too fucking expensive. But eventually, like, this isn't theoretical. This is shit I just went through. Like, eventually, after 3 years of not having a PC, eventually I had to be like, I mean, I guess I got no other choice. If I want to be able to game on a PC, I'm gonna have to overpay.
I also feel like you're not only obviously, yes, but you're also paying for again, like, I also feel like you're also paying for the fact that you don't need to upgrade for a bit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but like, man, like, they're still way artificially high, and like even the 40 series, like, they are coming out, like, each generation is getting subsequently more expensive. Like, the whole thing is just upside down. Unfortunately, like I said, they had me over a barrel. If I want to play anything on PC, and like, there's a bunch of games that I cannot play on console because they require high CPU. The processors in the consoles just won't keep up. You can't really play many like building type games or any of that kind of stuff. Like, there's just not games that you can play on consoles. So there's a whole series of games that I want to play that I can't because consoles straight up won't take care of it. And PCs were expensive. Like, I didn't have a choice, and I waited years, and it got a little bit better. It's the reason I got a laptop, because GPUs are being used for crypto mining, whereas laptops aren't. So laptops are at a better price to value point. But I still, man, like $1,500 for a gaming laptop would have gotten me a lot more 10 years ago. I remember when Rachel got her gaming laptop, we spent 12 on that, and that thing was like, holy shit, top of the line. I got a pretty good one, slightly above like middle of the road. Still paid $1,500 for it. Is it bullshit? Absolutely. Did I overpay for what I got? Yeah, I kind of feel like I did. But again, the entire industry is upside down in terms of GPUs. What are you going to do? Just not
Brett,
game? Cool.
I will say this. You paid $1,500 for it. You paid $500 for your PlayStation 5. I guarantee you got more than 3 times more worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
on your laptop.
100%, 100%. But like, even like when you guys got your 3080s, like it's a whole different world from even then. Like it's just getting worse. So it's one of those like, yeah, having been there, like I don't like it, but I am humbled to say, yeah, man, like I'm a victim of the market. If I want to keep playing video games, and like honestly, video games, like I would buy $1,000 console. I'll go out there and throw that out there, because if my options are buy $1,000 console or quit gaming, new games like just subsist off the games that you have, and these are all the games you have forever. No, it's just not acceptable. I'm paying that $1,000. They've got me by the short hairs.
But Brett, let's say okay, it's $1,000 console. Why won't you just get a $1,500 PC that's going to run better?
But I thought the two weren't connected.
In your world, they are though.
You're the one. You're the one that's making the. But you're the one. You're the one. You talked about Manny saying he was moving the goalpost, but you moved the goalpost before all that. When you said,
I'm willing to stick with that. I was just throwing that out there. I was like, that's why I say those two worlds are connected, because they're offering the same product. So yeah, in a world where
they're not the same. They're not the same product though.
They're not at all.
Video games are. Like the Baldur's Gate is the same Baldur's Gate on PS5 as it is on console.
Yeah, but
if I want to play Baldur's Gate,
PS5 is a console.
Yeah.
What's that?
PS5 is a console though.
Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. It's the same Baldur's Gate on PS5 as it is on PC.
Is it though?
We don't know that yet. We don't know that. The game isn't out yet. We don't know.
It's the same. It's fundamentally the same game. I'm not saying it's the exact same experience. It's if I want to play Baldur's Gate, I have a choice of where I want to go play it. So I view the two things as kind of connected, and I say yes. If they have $1,000 console, absolutely, I'm just going to then buy a $1,500 PC, because why wouldn't I? And to me, that's why these things don't exist in a vacuum. But when you're looking at it from the console side, where you're like, if it's $1,000 console, I'm just not going to buy a console. Like, what are you going to do? Go buy a $2,000 computer? I mean, I guess, unless I don't want to buy a computer.
Think about it like this, Brett. Use Tony and myself as an example, and Chris for that matter. We all paid, and maybe Brian too. We all paid for what, over $2,000 PCs?
Yeah, mine was like just like shy of $3,000. But again,
and if
my PC isn't just for gaming though. You know, it's also for this.
Exactly. And if you ask us, would you have paid $1,000 for the PS5 or the PS5?
Fuck no.
When it came out, none of us would have bought it.
No. When I say I would pay $1,000 for a console, I mean if they put me in a position where there were only one way to play video games, and that was $1,000 console.
And that's why I mentioned that you move the goalposts. It's like that's not a likely scenario that's going to happen anytime soon. Ever. It's like we're talking about or if we get to that point, then we have to worry about other stuff.
Are a thing.
No, you said if the only way for you to play video games in any capacity was a console, like, dude, you're saying mobile games don't exist anymore, PC games don't exist anymore, handheld games don't exist anymore. That's a crazy fucking hypothetical situation right there.
It absolutely is. Like, I guess I would call it more like, let's say the cheapest avenue into any type of gaming was $1,000. The other options exist, they just cost more. A phone costs more than $1,000. A PC costs more than $1,000.
Well,
what if $1,000 was just your cheapest option?
There's $400 phones.
Yeah, we're getting too hypothetical right now.
Yeah. My point is just being that, like, access to the video games is it's. I don't think it's as simple as saying like, oh, it's worth this price point. I think that we're all prey to the market raising its prices as
Brett,
per like, yeah.
I have to interject because the variables are already set. We're living in the now, and we know where everything stands, and that's where I'm coming from. It's like we know the variables. Yeah, if you change the variables to be drastic in every direction, yeah, things will change.
Okay, so let's use something more realistic.
Right now.
Let's use $70 games. What if I said video games aren't worth $70? I don't want to pay $70 for video games. Well, it's getting real fucking hard to do that, and it really doesn't matter whether or not I agree with the game.
Brett, I don't understand why sales aren't a thing for in your hypothetical here. Like, if you don't want to pay $70 for a game, wait a month. The price, unless it's Nintendo, the price is going to drop. Right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I feel like that's missing the point of my statement, but sure, okay.
Yeah, but that's what you realistically can do. You know me, I don't give a fuck about hypotheticals. What you can actually do in the real world, if you don't want to pay $7 for a console, wait. The price will go down,
well, let's
right?
Put it this way then. A lot of people said $600 was way more than they were ever willing to pay for a console.
We haven't had a $600 console yet.
All right, never mind.
All right, let's move on, man.
We actually did. It's called a 3DO.
Yeah, there you go. All right, actually, we're done, people. That was the last question of the night. Good stuff. Good stuff. We went long, man. I love how the one episode where I really got to go take a piss is like the one I went an hour longer than it needed to. You know, it is what it is, man. Do we have?
It's the real test your might. Bonus question.
Test your might. You know. Anyway, do we have anything to plug?
No, but I would say one thing I would say is to stay tuned to our Twitter because you might see some photos from a certain gaming event that's in Seattle. So, you know, there's some fun stuff happening over at the convention center over here. Nintendo got a big old thing going on, and you know. There's going to be some booths, so you know there might be some photos that might find them their way to Throwdown Show at Throwdown Show on Twitter.
Yeah, and you're fairly close to the convention center, aren't you?
Literally,
isn't it like right there
and see it right down there? It's really like you know, so
it's hilarious.
We're right around the corner, so yeah. So stay tuned.
Yo, shout out to Joey, by the way. He mentioned something that fucked me up. It's like this year's been so good that a game like Star Wars Jedi Survivor is just like lost in the abyss.
That's
right. A game that came
how did that happen?
Broken state that was not.
It did come broken, great. So yeah, that's
it was released broken and mediocre. So I don't really think it's being looked over. I think it's exactly where it belongs.
It's cyberpunked.
Oh shit. Anyway, people, make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join the Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always happening. You could also find us on any podcast app on the planet. Throwdown Show towards Throwdown Show. Throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. And if you have been watching us on YouTube and enjoyed our videos, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our premieres go live. Links to everything down below. And one more thing, almost forgot. Throwdown episode 450 coming at you on Thursday. Gonna be good. And Throwdown Your Questions, the AMA special coming to you on Sunday. So start asking us. Yeah, man. And like I said, since Labor Day is the following day, that means we could just keep going for a little bit longer. So you can ask us 3 questions. AMA questions, please. No gaming questions. Stick to, just get more creative with shit, you know? So we're gonna bump it up to 3 questions, and it'll be a good time. So that'll be this upcoming Sunday. And then 450, we're gonna celebrate. Richard Bailey Jr. will be here. That's gonna be the Starfield episode, because he's been playing a game, and he can finally tell us about it, because the embargo also lifts on that day. Or I believe it's the day before. But either way, the embargo will be lifted. He can talk about it. Yeah. So it's the same day. Perfect. So yeah. So that'll be the Starfield special / 9-year anniversary of this version of Throwdown, even though Throwdown has been around for 11 years, which is fucking crazy, you know?
Jesus.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's coming back, man. Richard Bailey Jr., RBJ, you know.
RBJ.
RBJ.
Oh man,
it just sounds weird, like because
really
we've known
does.
Rich for a decade.
Yeah,
so
but
it's like
Jay Shep, you started this, man. Yeah, we have known Rich for that like a decade. Now we call him RPJ. You know? Oh man, it's too close to LBJ. You know?
or RDJ, Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's crazy. You know?
Or RBG,
Yeah,
RVG,
gamer lighting.
yeah, right.
the gaming is that.
Yeah. All right, people, we're done here, man. So once again, I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and 10 hours run by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Carlos Romero.
Shout out to Fergus Mills, who's also in Seattle.
Yeah. Yo, man, he'll get you that $700 console, you know?
Oh yeah,
Brett Murdoch.
I'm marking the calendar for this episode for when PS6 drops to $600 and everybody on the panel buys one.
We have an accountability segment for that on the Discord, by the way.
Yes, we do.
well, I will. Well, variables will change when that comes out. So.
Oh no! You have all said no matter what, you will not pass the price point to hit $600. You have
I never
so.
said that. I said
No,
700. We said
he's-
700.
Yeah, we were talking about
Yeah,
we're talking about when
yeah.
when the PS5 came out.
Yeah, run the tape back. We said $700.
Okay. So just to be clear, I want to get this down on tape. So
Yeah.
you're saying there is a world in which you guys would pay maybe $700 for a console,
Not 700.
depending on
I
context.
I said that. I mean,
Yeah.
10 years from now, 20 years from now, 40 years from now, yeah, I'll definitely.
Oh, eventually, but like next generation, no, sir. Fuck that. You know, but like for the PS9, sure. You know. So
All right, I'll take that.
yeah, eventually we'll have to, but next generation, nah. You know. Anyway, we'll see you on Thursday, episode 450 coming at you, man. Later.
Peace.
Laters.
It is.